copy of their ID. The person clearing on behalf of the importer will be required to also present a copy of their government-issued ID. Please also be reminded that the name on the import must match the name on the importer's ID. To avoid any delays or inconvenience, all importers are asked to adhere to these requirements. The Customs and Excise Department wishes to remind its importers of the import clearing requirements. Importers are required to present a copy of his or her government-issued ID. Not able to clear your goods? Not a problem. The Customs Department allows persons to clear on behalf of an importer. The importer will be required to send a letter addressed to the Comptroller of Customs, granting permission to the person to clear on their behalf, along with a copy of their ID. The person clearing on behalf of the importer will be required to also present a copy of their government-issued ID. Please also be reminded that the name on the import must match the name on the importer's ID. To avoid any delays or inconvenience, all importers are asked to adhere to these requirements.
Good morning and welcome to Customs Corner here on WINN FM 98.9, and I have here in the studios Miss Kishma Griffin. She is the Communications and Public Relations Officer of the St Kitts and Nevis Customs and Excise Department. And today we will be focusing on International Customs Day, which is celebrated by the customs community each year on the 26th day of January. So I will now allow Miss Griffin, or Kishma, as she prefers to be called Kishma, I will allow her to head right into her presentation.
Good morning, Devon.
Good morning.
And good morning to your listening audience. And Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Thank you.
It's never too late.
I know. You can say it all until June. Okay, so the St Kitts and Nevis Customs and Excise Department joins its regional and international counterparts in celebrating World Customs Day 2021 under the theme Bolstering Recovery, Renewal and Resilience. As the world grapples with the current COVID-19 pandemic, the Customs and Excise Department plays a pivotal role in facilitating trade and travel in these extenuating circumstances. With the exponential increase of the cargo volume crossing its borders, the department has utilized its natural innovation by implementing processes and procedures to ensure the uninterrupted processing of cargo. Now, Devon, allow me to share with you and your listening audience an excerpt from World Customs Organization. The International Customs Day on 26th of January 2021 will be dedicated to the united efforts of customs to emerge from the coronavirus crisis and support people and businesses by strengthening the global supply chain, reinforcing collaboration, harnessing technology, and putting people at the center of transformation process with the slogan, Customs Bolstering Recovery, Renewal and Resilience for a Sustainable Supply Chain. So the listening audience might be saying, so what is St. Kitts Customs doing with all of what she just said? Mm-hmm. So the theme, Bolstering Recovery, Renewal and Resilience, I'm going to tell you what we've been doing. Bolstering recovery. So we have been meeting, the Customs and Excise Department have been meeting with its various stakeholders to find out their needs and their issues as it pertains to COVID-19 pandemic. We have also provided different facilitation measures to aid them during this challenging economic period. As we know, because of the current economic situation, businesses are suffering,
Right.
and as a result, the customs, we have a heart. Yeah, a lot of people see us as with a big stick, but no, we actually have a heart, and
Right.
so we have created some facilitation measures to aid these businesses. We have also implemented measures to alleviate the stress of COVID-19. A lot of stress has come about from this. I mean, those of us who are securing our jobs,
Right.
especially us as government workers, we have no idea the kind of fallout from this pandemic. And so the department has put some stuff in place. We've implemented certain things to kind of alleviate this stress. On the second issue, the second part of our theme, it says renewal. And you might ask yourself, what customs doing as it pertains to renewal? I mean, World Customs Organization put out this fancy thing. What are y'all doing? What y'all doing? Except dig up my barrel. But no, we are actually aiding in the renewal process. And we have implemented measures to conduct business during the pandemic. So we can recall, it was in April, we had our lockdown. And as a result, as it pertains to personal import, it basically came to a screeching halt because of the lockdown. That was it. You weren't able to clear your cargo because of the lockdown.
Right.
Commercial entities, on the other hand, we were able to facilitate trade. And as you can recall, at no point in time did you hear any supermarket or any business entity saying, we can't get with stuff.
Right.
There's no food in the supermarket, because the customs, although some of us were working at home, we were working. So you find 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the night, we were working to ensure that when these entities would have submitted their declarations, these paperwork were being processed behind the scenes. So at no point in time did we have any kind of breakdown as it pertains to facilitating trade on the commercial side. However, on the personal side of it, everything closed down. So renewal. So here's how we're going to have renewal. We're going to be implementing online payments just now. So we are working really hard so that this can be rolling out sooner rather than later. So what's this going to do for you, Devon? You're going to be able to stay from home and be able to pay for your goods, pay for your duties and your taxes, right, without any intervention from customs, as in face-to-face. So right now, we would have gotten a lot of beat down for our initiative that we rolled out in December. The pre-examination of cargo, that was a big thing. And I don't think people actually looked at it as how it's supposed to be looked at. Now, with this initiative, what it allowed for was for the pre-assessing of these imports, so that it prevented congestion up at the ports, it made for convenience, and it just speed up the process. And we also had to bear in mind this whole protocol issue that we had. Protocol. Yes, we had to adhere to these protocols. So we could not have more than a certain number at the port, inside the port at a certain time. So we went and we did all these pre-examination, pre-assessments beforehand, so that when you do come to the port, the process would have flowed smoothly, right? So in the renewal part of it, so what we are seeing in the renewal part of it, in the event, which we hope does not happen, but in the event of another lockdown, Devon, your barrel comes in, the customs pre-assess your barrel, whatever duties and taxes are due and payable, you go online, you pay for them online. There's going to be a future initiative where you can pay for your transportation, organize your transportation online, right, so that you can actually stay home in your lockdown, enjoy your lockdown, doing whatever you do during your lockdown, watching whatever you watch during your lockdown, and have your goods delivered to your door without any hiccup.
Wow.
Right? So we are in renewal mode. Mm-hmm. We are putting things in place to ensure that in the event of any lockdown, future lockdown, we won't be disturbed. Like I said, we had a shutdown for personal cargo, but we are putting things in place to prevent that from happening.
Yes.
Right? We also are looking at, our next aspect of our theme would be that of resilience. And then you might say, how is the customs resilient? Right? Oh, yes, we are resilient because during the lockdown, we were still able to facilitate trade. At no point in time did you hear that a supermarket cannot function because they cannot get their goods. We made sure that the trade process went on during the lockdown period, right? Commercial customers can submit their documents online because we have what you call the Asecuda system where everything is now done electronically. So they did not need to come up to the customs. It's not like calling us and say, y'all gonna open today, like how is a lockdown? No. You submit your documents online, and then we at home, those of us who are working at home, were able to process your documents and release the cargo. So at no point in time did we have any issues as it pertains to commercial customers and the facilitation of trade. Like I said, we are looking at bringing this online payment into stream. So once that is here, we're going to have the whole thing locked down, right? So in the next lockdown, no pun intended, we won't have an issue. Everything will be fine. And so, yes, we have, when World Organization would have put out this theme, we were going through it and we were looking at it. And, I remember coming out of a UA exam and you come out with your past paper and the teacher, your lecturer will be going through it and say, okay, this is the answer. And you'll be like, yes, I got that. So when we went through this theme and we saw bolstering, recovery, renewal, and resilience, we were like, oh, we got that.
Yeah, right.
We got that. So that is where we're at. We are actually ahead of the game, and we are so excited to be ahead of the game, right? As it pertains to the global supply chain, although we don't have any direct or indirect influence over the delivery of goods, but we saw that there was a problem and we dealt with the problem head on. I think it was on the last segment of Customs Corner that a lady would have called in and she would have explained her concern over the fact that her stuff was stuck somewhere in transit.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
And I did say to her, then the agents now would have to communicate to us that they were experiencing issues. So I went back to my bosses with her concern, and then we started looking at the data, and we realized, hey, some of these vessels are not coming in as often as they should, that it seemed as though there was a problem. So my boss would have reached out to them and they would have indicated, yes, they're having a tie-up. The delivery methods over in the States are having some issues for whatever reason. Maybe it's COVID related, we don't know. But we realized that there was an issue. And as a result, the management team got together. They made a proposal and a recommendation to the government. The Prime Minister agreed and he extended. So the deadline for the concession, the $200 allowance, that should have been
31st.
It should have been the 31st of December. The Prime Minister would have extended it to the 31st of January. So when they were talking about when World Customs Organization would have zeroed in on the supply chain and seen how we could get involved in that, we realized, well, we got this already. We did this last year. We made our recommendations and we're good to go. So we are so pleased with our department. We're actually patting ourselves on our back because we have this theme down. We have it down. I know there was a lot of criticism for the new initiative, but I hope people will understand the importance and the necessity for it and appreciate it for the good that it has in it. Because when there is a lockdown again, and it's going to come, unfortunately, but when there is a lockdown again, we won't have any hiccups because we have put these same processes and procedures that a lot of people did not like. into place, that's going to make it easy for us as importers.
Right. And let me just add, Kishma, I must commend the department. During the whole COVID-19 lockdown and the latter part of last year, I could only imagine the challenges that the department was posed with.
Yes.
And I was very impressed when you said that you guys will be implementing the online payment
Yes.
system. I mean, this is 2021.
Yes.
And so you can't get anything better than that.
Yes.
You stay from the comfort of your home, and you pay your bill online. I can say that last year I was paying my bills online through mobile banking and online platforms. So let me just say that is a really, really good initiative, and especially for persons who do frequent business with customs. I think they're going to appreciate it.
Of course they will.
They're going to appreciate it.
Of course they will.
And also, with the extension of the deadline for the duty-free concessions,
Yes.
that too is good, because I have a few friends who ordered some items and they're not here. I guess it's because of the COVID and
Yes.
the protocols and restrictions, and so hopefully it gets here in time by Sunday, right?
Oh, they're still out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course,
Yes.
there's still people who are ordering, but I don't think if you order the day before, it's going to get here the next day. But let me just say, I think the department is doing very well considering the whole COVID situation.
Yes.
And I think it's a greater demand out there, considering the constraints that you guys have. And you still have to be working, whether you're working from home, and this is still COVID. We don't know when it's going to be over. And so if we get to that point where another lockdown happens, at least you know that you can stay from home and you can pay for your goods and you can pay for...
You could get your goods.
Great. It is now just, 17 minutes past the hour of 11. We are now going to open the phone lines to hear from the many listeners. You may have questions, you may have concerns, you may have commendations. So, we have any calls? No, we have no calls at the moment. If we have no calls, we'll just take a short break, and when we return, we will hear from our listeners.
The Customs and Excise Department wishes to remind its importers of the import clearing requirements. Importers are required to present a copy of his or her government-issued ID. Not able to clear your goods? Not a problem. The Customs Department allows persons to clear on behalf of an importer. The importer will be required to send a letter addressed to the Controller of Customs, granting permission to the person to clear on their behalf, along with a copy of their ID. The person clearing on behalf of the importer will be required to also present a copy of their government-issued ID. Please also be reminded that the name on the import must match the name on the importer's ID. To avoid any delays or inconvenience, all importers are asked to adhere to these requirements. Customs and Excise Department wishes to remind its importers of the import clearing requirements. Importers are required to present a copy of his or her government-issued ID. Not able to clear your goods? Not a problem. The Customs Department allows persons to clear on behalf of an importer. The importer will be required to send a letter addressed to the Controller of Customs, granting permission to the person to clear on their behalf, along with a copy of their ID. The person clearing on behalf of the importer will be required to also present a copy of their government-issued ID. Please also be reminded that the name on the import must match the name on the importer's ID. To avoid any delays or inconvenience, all importers are asked to adhere to these requirements.
Welcome back to Customs Corner right here on WINN FM 98.9. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius, and we have the Communications and Public Relations Officer, Miss Kishma Griffin. So as the Customs Department is celebrating International Customs Day, I can only imagine that you guys have a number of activities lined up. Can you speak to that?
Yes, so we do have activities to celebrate the week. Normally, we would have done things on a larger scale, but in light of the current pandemic and the possible economic fallout, we had to scale down drastically. So normally on a Sunday, we will fellowship at a church, the entire staff, 150 strong of us. But because of social distancing, we had to decide to go to our respective churches and fellowship there.
Oh, okay.
So, and then on Monday, yesterday, we would have had a prayer and thanksgiving at our headquarters. We had a minister, a local preacher that came in and offered up prayers and thanks. I'm telling you, it was like church. Huh? When I was finished, I was like, hallelujah, I feel really, really good today.
Yes.
And I could just go through this week without any disturbance. It was really, really spirit-filling, right? So today is dubbed Meet the Press. And yes, so so what we've decided to do is bring Customs Corner to the 3 radio stations. So I would have just left ZIZ and jumped right here, and then we have Freedom this afternoon.
Awesome.
Yeah, so today's Meet the Press. So it's strictly about engaging the press and the listening public. Tomorrow, we will be having a presentation to the Carding Home. Every year, we normally go to the Carding Home and assist with the feeding of the residents and stuff. But because of COVID again, cannot do that. So we just decided that we would donate to the home and make a presentation. On Thursday is Customs Officer Appreciation Luncheon. Normally on a Sunday after church gathering, we will go to a fancy restaurant and we would sit down and have a meal, to reward the officers, give them
for their hard work.
For the year. And because we aren't able to do that, we're bringing the lunch to us. So we're going to be eating in place. So wherever we're stationed, we are going to just eat with our officers wherever we are because of the social distancing. In the also on that day, we are going to have our honorary day where we are going to honor 4 retired customs officers. And we will have a small presentation to give them. On Friday is Customer Appreciation Day. Yes, the customs actually values its customers. And we are going to have a small token of our appreciation to our customers. It's very small, but it's just to show you that we're actually thinking about you and we appreciate you. Despite the cursing that we get, we actually appreciate you. And you would not believe we are always in the background trying to implement things to make it easier
right.
for you. Right? So, yes, and so we're going to do a little appreciation. Normally on a Saturday, they would have the fun day, but again, because of social distance, we won't be able to do that this year. So that's basically a week of activities for us. Scale down, nice, simple, and it's gonna go well.
Great. And I'm happy that you guys are doing something regardless of what's happening with the whole COVID situation.
Oh yes, that shows our resilience.
Yeah, definitely. And let me just say, I'm happy you guys are started with church, and you had church yesterday, as you mentioned. Very, very good. There was something you said during your presentation with resilience. I remember going to supermarkets and seeing people buying in bulks, and they're accustomed to buying maybe like 6 milk. They bought 24 because they were adamant that everything is going to shut down. I think when the Prime Minister stated that there will be a lockdown, persons thought it meant lockdown from food and medicine and everything. It was just a commercial lockdown from passengers. I'm happy to hear that no supermarkets were posed with any challenges in terms of
None.
getting their items.
None.
Because I remember going to the store and everything was normal. It's
Yes.
just that if you had an item coming in, then you won't be able to get it because of the lockdown. But basically, it's just to commend the department for that, because I can only imagine what other departments around the world faced, especially those departments that their staff was affected by the virus, because you had certain organizations and businesses whose staff were infected with COVID-19. But you mentioned you guys have 150. But nevertheless, if one person is infected, that is still too much. But let me just say congratulations
Thank you.
on implementing those initiatives and those procedures so that you could have better business, and that persons could have a sense of appreciation and understanding of what really happens at the customs department. As I said, I think I told you this some time ago, I don't really order stuff like that, but I know people who order, and sometimes they're frustrated. But I think with the online payment system and the other initiatives that you guys have put in place, I think it's going to be an easy flow of business.
Yes.
As we wrap up, because it's close to the 1:30 end time, do you have any final comments for our listeners?
Okay, so basically, we just want to let the general public know that we are out there, we are working, we are doing things and continuously doing things to ensure that trade is not halted or disturbed in any way. A lot of people who might have ridiculed the new initiative, one of these days, in the near future, you're going to realize how important this new initiative is when it comes to a lockdown and you want to get your barrel to your house. So don't knock it as yet, because it's going to be your savior one of these days. And we just want to let the public know that we are going to continue to do our best. We have our mandate that we have to follow, that we have to live up to, and we're going to continue to make sure that we keep our country safe, not only safe from COVID, but safe from illicit drugs, from prohibited and restricted items, because that is what we are here for. So appreciate us a little bit more. We are only doing these things to keep our federation safe.
Right. And thank you so much for choosing WINN FM. Thank you so much for being here. Again, if you were listening, this is Customs Corner right here on WINN FM 98.9 with the Communications and Public Relations Officer, Ms. Kishma Griffin. The theme under which they are celebrating is bolstering recovery, renewal, and resilience. And if you were listening to her presentation, you would realize that they touched on every aspect of the theme: recovery, renewal, and definitely resilience. Customs, our International Customs Day, is celebrated annually on the 26th day of January. And of course, all the customs department and the customs community around the world joins in the celebration with different activities and presentations. But of course, because of COVID, things have changed a bit. But thank you again so much for being here, and we look forward to seeing you in the near future. And thank you so much for choosing WINN FM 98.9 and listening to this very educating program. Until next time, continue to stay safe.
Customs and Excise Department wishes to remind its importers of the import clearing requirements. Importers are required to present a copy of his or her government-issued ID. Not able to clear your goods? Not a problem. The Customs Department allows persons to clear on behalf of an importer. The importer will be required to send a letter addressed to the Comptroller of Customs, granting permission